Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending today's Wellness Wednesday. My name is Andrew from Geisinger Health and Wellness. Before we begin, I'm just going to share our general disclaimer with you all. This information is being provided in order to increase your awareness. It is not intended to be used as medical advice. If you believe that you may have any medical conditions or specific questions regarding your health, please speak with your physician. And thank you again for joining today's Wellness Wednesday session. Today's topic is fad diets. Have you or someone you know ever started a diet? Maybe they lost a small or a decent amount of weight, but when they stopped doing that diet, they ended up gaining that back and maybe even more than they initially lost. If that is the case, you are not alone. That is a common trait among fad diets. And in today's session, we're going to review what fad diets are, if any of them work, what you can do to make long lasting changes in your health, and hopefully learn a few things along the way to identify these fad diets before you engage in any of them. So I hope you leave today's session with a better understanding of these fad diets, some red flags to look out for, as well as some questions you could be asking yourself and just learning some ways to have a more balanced and healthy diet overall. So, as we begin, I just want to focus on these two different phrases here, healthy diet and going on a diet. We tend to use these interchangeably. However, they are very different. They are two completely different meanings. So, when we talk about the word diet, it is simply the overall food intake, what we're eating in a day. Going on a diet is implying restrictions. Going on a diet is going to be reducing or eliminating certain food groups, and this could be much less beneficial than simply following a healthy diet overall. A healthy diet is simply getting the proper amount of nutrients from all of the food groups: protein, dairy, grains, fruits, and vegetables. And when we are following a healthy diet, it means we could also have things like pleasurable desserts. We're not overly restrictive. We're mindful of what we're eating, but we're not saying no to foods. We're not calling these foods bad foods or unhealthy. We're not saying that we should completely avoid things like carbohydrates or fats, because we simply know that's not always the case. So when we talk about fad diets, that is defined as a nutrition regimen generally of an extreme or an intense nature. It's intended to produce results more quickly than a traditional diet exercise combination. Like a fashion trend, these are typically only popular for a set period of time. It's going to promise unreasonably fast weight loss. It's going to promote some nonsensical health improvements. And if you do follow some of these fad diets, you might see some weight loss in the beginning, but those results typically don't last. That's because any diet like this is simply not sustainable for the long term. It's not conducive to a healthy lifestyle. These are traits of a fad diet. And don't get me wrong, who doesn't love the idea of some quick and easy weight loss? With all of the focus on weight and appearance in our society, it's not surprising that millions of Americans fall prey to these healthy diets. Over 45 million Americans go on a diet a year, and over half of those individuals choose fad diets. These fad diets are going to have conflicting claims, testimonials, hype. There's so-called experts that promote them. They have celebrity endorsements. But we need to remember that weight loss is a industry. It is a $72 billion industry that is trying to make money off of you. They're trying to sell these products to you. So we need to remember, key takeaway, if something is too good to be true, it probably is. So when it comes to fad diets, they don't always work. They do not solve the underlying or the real problems. Even if you see results like quick weight loss, it's usually losing water weight. Maybe you're depleting the carbohydrate stores out of your body, similar with ketogenic diets. And often, as soon as you stop these diets, you're going to gain all of that weight back. They are restrictive of key nutrients. They are missing out on nutrients and vitamins and minerals that our bodies need. And there's very little evidence to support a lot of the claims that they make when it comes to weight loss from combining certain foods, eliminating certain foods, eating at certain times of the day. At the end of the day, these are simply just unsustainable diets. And there's some red flags to look out for. You want to be very mindful when a product or a fad diet is promising rapid weight loss when you don't need to do anything. You don't need to change your lifestyle. You don't need to exercise. You don't need to learn any new behaviors. They're offering very limited choices, whether it is the foods or the products. A big one here, and this is one of the most common ones to look out for, is if a diet is completely removing or emphasizing a food group. So if they're telling you to no longer eat fat, no longer eat carbs, or only eat fats, or only eat proteins, things of that, that is a very common trait. If it has any miracle claims or testimonies, or if there's any products that they're trying to push on you. Another one is if it's just a temporary, if they're telling you, hey, you're going to do this program for 4 weeks and you are going to lose 30 pounds and get abs. These are all things that you want to look out for. Steer clear of any of these things, especially when they encourage you purchasing something, pills or products. Some other things to look out for is when they want you to drastically cut calories, not just reduce your calories, when you need to drastically cut out calories, drastically cut out food groups, or if they're saying things or advertising things that don't sound right. So think of some of the diets out there, like the grapefruit diet, where they tell you you could eat as much grapefruit as you want, or the cabbage soup diet, or the lemonade diet. All of these silly things we just need to look out for. Some trending fad diets. I have five very common ones that you've probably heard of on the screen. I just want to mention there are so many more than these five. You could probably name some off the top of your head. But I want to focus on these five because they're trending, they're very popular in culture today, and I just want to talk about them with you briefly. The first one is a vegan diet. Veganism is simply a type of vegetarian diet that is going to completely omit any and all animal-based food sources. I want to point out with a vegan diet, there are several studies that have shown that this diet can be beneficial with reducing risk for cardiometabolic diseases like cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, things of that nature. However, there are just as many studies that have associated veganism with adverse health outcomes, a few being like nervous and skeletal immune system impairments, some mental health issues, and these are typically always linked for the potential of micro and macronutrient deficiencies. So you might not be getting all of the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that you need from a vegan diet. That is, of course, not always the case, but it is a high risk with that diet. Some other popular ones, the paleo diet, you might have heard it described as the caveman diet. This is all foods that are readily available to the caveman. So you have your fruits, your vegetables, your meat, your fish, eggs, nuts, all of those things. We follow this diet and we think we're going to have the physique of a caveman, but there's nuance to this because think of what a caveman was doing all day, hunting and in survival mode. There was no going to the office, there was no sitting for extended periods of time. So there might be some benefits to this diet, but there's a lot of nuance to that as well. Gluten-free, this one is tricky because this is a restrictive diet that really rose to popularity because it's a treatment for celiac disease, people that have issues digesting gluten. So unless you have celiac disease, there's really no reason to be doing a gluten-free diet. That is a conversation you want to have with your doctor. The next one is the keto diet. We have probably heard about the keto diet, whether you've done it yourself or maybe you know someone that's done it and they've maybe had some mild success with it. But this diet is designed to burn fat in air quotes by simply removing carbohydrates from your diet almost altogether. When you do this, your body is burning through your fatty acids or your ketones for energy, and it is completely excluding any carb foods, your grains, your beans, your fruits, starchy vegetables. You will see some mild success in the beginning, but this is not a long-term solution for a diet because our bodies need carbohydrates to function. It is the preferred and best fuel source for our brains. We simply need to have carbohydrates in our diet unless maybe a doctor recommends that you do not. And the last one is intermittent fasting. This is one of the oldest diets that are out there, and this is simply just an eating pattern that cycles between periods of eating and fasting. There is the risk for binge eating and things like that when you are restricting yourself for a large portion of time. So rather than focus on these fad diets, you need to find the truth. And the best way to do that is just simply look out for those red flags that we discussed and ask yourself questions when you're unsure. Is there any promises of that quick fix? Is it completely removing food groups or overemphasizing those? Do a little bit of independent research. Take a look and see if the information is from personal stories, is there testimonies? What is some of the research on this? Is this a new thing? Who is the creator of this diet? What are their qualifications? Do they have any background in research or are they doctors, anything of that nature? Are they trying to sell you something? Where is the information coming from? The websites. So when in doubt, Ask yourself some of these questions and always seek a food and nutrition professional, whether it's a registered dietitian, a nutritionist, healthcare provider, health coach. Always use them as a resource. I also encourage everyone to do their own independent research. But when you are doing that, you want to make sure that you are choosing the right places to do research. And what I mean by that is you're looking at EDU websites, educational institutions, government agencies, your .gov websites, or professional organizations, because they're always going to give you the best, most current, up-to-date, non-biased information. I always steer caution with some org websites and especially .com websites because anybody could create those and put in any information in there and it doesn't need to be proven correct. So I always encourage you to do your own independent research and make sure that you are up to date on all these things, but make sure you are very cautious with some of the websites that you're looking at. What is the best method to lose weight and keep it off? We know it is a good combination of diet and exercise. You want to make sure that you're exercising regularly, and what we recommend is at least 150 minutes, so 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week of moderate intensity cardiovascular exercise, whether it be walking, running, jogging, swimming, the stair climber, whatever it is. People always ask what the best one is, and I always say the same thing. The best type of exercise is the exercise you will continue to do. If you absolutely dread running or cycling or whatever it might be, I always tell people don't do it. Do the one that you will do. If you like walking, biking, whatever it is, that's the one you should do. Of course, you also want to make sure that you are listening to your body, you are eating when you are hungry, and you are not eating when you are not hungry. And you're making sure you're having a variety of foods in moderate portions. You're practicing portion control, you're listening to your body, and you are making sure that over time you are making small lifestyle changes. These are incremental positive changes to improve your overall health that you can maintain and build upon. You never want to take on everything all at once because that's how we set ourselves up for failure. You want to do small things and build up on them. And slow and steady, you only want to lose about 1 to 2 pounds a week max because that is what is attainable and safe. Some tips and tricks to get started with some of those lifestyle changes that you could build upon is choosing fruits and vegetables when you snack. Sometimes it could be a challenge to get these into our diets, so in between meals, choose these rather than chips, pretzels, and sweets. We want to opt for whole grain foods, things that are high in fiber, which we're going to talk about in the next slide, rather than refined counterparts like simple sugars. These will keep you fuller for longer. Get that 30 minutes of cardiovascular exercise 5 days a week, reducing your alcoholic drink content, and trying to reduce some sugary drinks, being mindful of how much sugar is in your coffee and your sodas, and maybe switching to some healthier options. And you could also track your progress both with a food log as well as an activity log. And I mentioned fiber. Fiber is found in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes. A high fiber diet is going to aid in achieving a healthy weight because these high fiber foods tend to be more filling. So you're eating less of them and you're staying full for longer. These tend to be less energy dense, meaning they have fewer calories for the same volume. You're looking to get about 25 to 30 grams of fiber per day, and it could also promote some other health benefits like reducing your bad cholesterol and your glucose levels. So again, to highlight here, you want to choose whole grain products, so your brown rice, your whole wheat bread, and pastas and things of that nature. And portion control, something that a lot of us struggle with. This is 100% under our control, however. This is how much food you are eating in one sitting, and most foods are going to contain multiple servings. So when you're looking at anything, even that candy bar that you might be eating, it might say that it's only 200 calories, but it might be 2 servings. So sometimes it could be a little tricky. So I encourage everybody to read those nutrition labels and just be mindful. If you want the whole thing, have the whole thing, but just be mindful of how many calories it is. So a couple tips that you could do to reduce that portion size: eat from a plate, never the package. You are going to consume way more than you realize eating right out of the bag. Using smaller dinnerware, reading those labels as I mentioned. Use measuring tools rather than eyeballing things. Being mindful of your hunger cues and eating slowly. What we mean by that is we know it takes about 20 to 30 minutes for your stomach to send the hormones to your brain to tell you that you are full. So if you could eat slower, you will most likely eat less. Putting everything together, you want to change your mindset. Think of eating healthier and reducing calories as a lifestyle change rather than a short-term diet. This is something you're going to do for the rest of your life, so start small. Don't take on everything at once, just make those small daily habit changes. Couple things you could do: drink more water, so that way you're drinking less soda or sugar sweetened beverages. Choosing fruits and veggies when snacking between meals. Meal prepping, so that way we're not always ordering takeout or Uber Eats or DoorDash. Trying to be prepared before it gets too late and we think, okay, let's just order something. And remember, as I mentioned in the beginning, if a diet or a product sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So make sure that you're researching all of these things. There are resources available to you as well. Geisinger Health Coaching. You could either call the number on the screen or contact us at our email there. If you would like to sign up for culinary medicine cooking classes, you can go to geisinger.org/cooking. And you could also check out clinical nutrition and get some support as well as diabetes support by calling the number on the screen there. I'll come back to this slide before we wrap up. Also, Neighborly. This will connect you to programs and services that address social needs in your area. Having access to nutritional food is part of a healthy diet. And if you or someone you know needs help, you could use Neighborly's website. That is everything for today. I want to thank you guys for attending. If you have any questions, please throw them in the chat. We'll do our best to get those answered for you guys. And I hope you join us for the next one. As we wrap up, there are even more resources available to you. 24/7 telenurse service. You can call the number on the screen for that. Signing up for any Geisinger events or programs, you can go to the link geisinger.org/events or scan the QR code. And then Neighborly, that is that link right there. Again, neighborlypa.com. Just enter in your zip code and it will connect you with different resources ranging from food to travel to assistance in other areas. So again, I want to thank everybody for attending today. My name is Andrew, and I hope you guys enjoyed today's session. Take care and bye-bye.